And we're live. We're live. All right. Sorry, guys. A little late this morning, this afternoon, this evening. So, let's see. Uncle Tony's Sunday night extravaganza, sing along, and clam bake. Yes. Let's get started. Rude Mopar dude. Man, you know what? I really think I'm having a brain tumor. Donna Wendy English, Jason Fitch, Bruce, what's happening? Dickie Farley, George Bonnie, you're late. You're usually the first one in. Oh God, I can't keep up with you guys. You're going too fast. Slow down. Fubar, what's going on, brother man? Kathy says I got to sell shirts. I got to sell shirts tonight. She says, make them feel bad. You know. Oh, guys, how's everything going? Ari, what's happening? Uncle Big Bad. John Moats, carpet proof welding. Yeah, we're just gonna seal everything. That's Look, the Junkyard Jet guys brought me a hookah. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys don't know. I used to have a hookah bar. I used to have coffee houses and hookah bars. So the Junkyard Jet guys said, we need a hookah in this place. So they brought me a hookah. Unfortunately, there's no tobacco or coal, so we're just gonna have to leave this thing parked over here. Yes, I was in the hookah business. Feather duster, yeah. Zero, what's happening? You got Lady Zero there. Nice. Hello, Lady Zero. You must be a truly unique creature. And I mean that in the most positive way possible. UTG, Don Win English, UTG. Brother Brian is from Buffalo. Says, hello, what's happening? Brother Brian. Wayne Buzzle. Yeah. I'll tell you, the likes up, even the dislikes. You can hit the thumbs down button. It works exactly the same. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Doesn't matter. You love me or hate me. It doesn't make any difference. YouTube says people are watching it, so they put it out there. So that's where the likes and everything are comment. And even the comments, right? Like, you throw a comment in it. It could just be, Tony, you're an ass. You're ass. Right? That's fine. Throw that comment in there. YouTube counts it, and it helps spread our stuff. It helps spread the algorithm. DD Speed Shop, what's happening? How are you, both of you, D and D? Wayne Buzzle, you love the UTG world. I love the UTG world too. Let me tell you something. I'm having a really good life. This is working out very well. I didn't see John pop in here. Pasta Vazul, yeah. Uncle Kathy is supposed to be making me pasta Vazul. She hasn't made it now in 2 weeks. I'm waiting for my pasta Vazul. Nathan Menzies, thank you for the super chat. The Tobacco Tycoon. You think I should be moving to should I put that in my moving to Montana fund? No, it's a dental floss. That's it. Dental floss. The dental floss tycoon. Sorry about that. I got them mixed up. Again, it's the brain tumor. Crazy Wrench Garage. What did you miss? Oh, everything, bro. It's all over. It was insanity for a few minutes, but sorry. Was Plan Z the meat car? I don't know what that means. Nathan Kerry, what's happening? Kevin Coffee. Yeah, wait, I gotta. My coffee is getting cold. Hang on. John Wilbur says, if you don't have haters, you're not trying hard enough. Tony must be trying really hard. I have the best haters. That's the thing, man. Not only do I have the best community, the best car community on YouTube. I don't know how other communities are, right? But I got absolutely the best car community on YouTube. You guys show up every Sunday night and every Wednesday night. Yes, I mean, I get along well with others. You guys show up every Wednesday and every Sunday, and it's great. We're the tightest car community, in all of YouTube. Where's the chickens? They're doing okay. The chickens are gone. We had to get rid of them. Uncle Kathy was allergic to them. Silver Slaghammer is coming out great. It is. It still represents like a huge mountain of work. I mean, a huge mountain of work. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm enjoying it. I was just looking at it just right before I came. That's why I'm late, because I got here and I said, let me look at Slaghammer a little bit. And I was just looking around. Al's been working on the thing, and Ethan wasn't around today, but he's been working on it too. But yeah, that was Ironhead update tomorrow. Peter Kovacs, unfortunately, someone throwing shade, unfortunately. No. So what I was saying, right, Peter Kovacs, is not only do I have the best automotive community on YouTube, but I have the best trolls on YouTube. Nobody has better trolls than I do. I actually have a troll channel that's dedicated to me, right? It's amazing. This guy has more videos about me than I actually have up. Now, how do you beat that? How do you top that? It's one thing to have haters. It's one thing to have people like, oh, Tony's a know-it-all, right? Whatever it is, right? But and then there's one guy who's just like, he's so dedicated to me that he literally does a video about me every freaking day. And he's got his followers. He's got this guy Darth Hemi that works over at Weisco Pistons. He's another one of my trolls. He's in there all the time. I get this other asshat. I can't think of his name. He owns a machine shop over here in Cookville. Is it Cookville? Crossville? No, Cookville. He posts something named Smokey's Ghost. He's another troller, and all these guys hang around that channel, right? And it's the most amazing thing. And I actually feel grateful for it because there's no way you can attain that level of troll without actually having an effect. So thank you, my trolls. I appreciate it. I really do. I have more trolls in a medieval garden. Yeah, I would believe that. Okay. Let's see. Paul Cabazzola, did you see the test runs on the Western Maryland Railroad this weekend? No, I did not. The newly restored locomotive is ready to go to work. What kind of locomotive is it? That's interesting. I love locomotives. Silver Horse 347. I was told Tony is a drunk hack. Yeah, I know. That's why I watch. That's the other thing, too. I want to know where the whole Drunkle Tony thing came from. I don't drink. Not that I have anything against drinking, and I'm not an alcoholic, like a reformed alcoholic. I just don't have the time or the mental capacity to drink. I'm too busy working. There's no time for drinking. So I don't know where that whole Drunkle Tony thing came from. Zephmont, can you do a video explaining the difference between LA block and a Magnum block? I did it, man. I did it like last month. Oh, Doug Narden. Okay, he was asking about which car had the groceries left in the back and the salt containers right at the floor. That was Plan Z. Dead Clutch. Poor DD Speed Shop looking for Nomad parts. Oh, where the hell are you going to get Nomad parts from? John Wilburn, you didn't realize that Pro works with Smokey's Ghost, but it makes sense. I knew Austin didn't just go away. Those guys are great, man. Greg McDonald, not so sure it was salt. It was 3 salt containers. What happened was the story with Plan Z is that when I bought that car, it was a complete car that had been sitting in somebody's backyard for like 30 years. And when they parked it, they had left the trunk was full of groceries. Don't ask me how or why. Maybe it's some sort of tragic thing. The person who's grabbing groceries dropped dead in the middle of unloading them, whatever it was. But the back of the car was filled to capacity with groceries that had sat there for 30 years. So when we unloaded everything, right, we finally got everything out. It was rancid, right? We finally got everything out. There were 3 big salt containers that had rotted open, and that salt water just coated the whole back of the car. So from let's say the back of the driver's seat to the back bumper was either missing or had the consistency of potato chips. So that's how we ended up building that car the way we did. Because I just stitched together a bunch of floor pan stuff that I had from that's like 3 different cars. So I just stitched together a bunch of floor pans that I had and put that together. But that was the origination of that car. DD Speed Shop says, turns out my water-cooled Visa can make Nomad parts appear. Yes. Well, yeah. Does it have headers, man? 436 Rich, what's happening? David Leonard, another really good reason I switched from Weisco Pistons to CP Carrillo. Oh, you mean yeah? This guy Darth Hemi works at Weisco. I don't know what he does at Weisco. That's Darth Hemi is the guy who did those videos. Uncle Tony doesn't know shit about Hemis, whatever it was, and it actually got a lot of views. But yeah, this guy works at Weisco. Um, Dead clutch to DD speed shop. Just close your eyes and swipe. John S. Happy Sunday to you, John S. Mopar Maniac. BS Customs, what's happening? BS Customs, I think my favorite magazine quote was from Swapping Modern Engines into Muscle Cars. And when it came to Chevy, they didn't even cover it, saying if you have a credit card in Jeg's catalog, you're good. And that's the truth. Cameron, to us young bucks, can you explain the difference between a street freak and a gasser? I did that video, bro. I did that video. It was called A Matter of Stance. So if you just go back, just search this channel. I think that was good. Just search the word stance, and it covers. I did a whole video on the difference between street freaks and gassers. Crashes Roadrunner Garage. What's going on, man? Uncle Tony, when you piston swap, do you rotate the pistons on the rod or swap piston rod assembly side to side? Well, it depends. If you've got a full floating rod, let's say you're doing a small block, let's say you're doing like an early 340, and it's got floating pins, just turn the piston around on the rod. If you don't, if it's a pressed pin, then the easiest way to do it is just take the piston, turn it around, swap it to the other side. Right? It'll work fine. The important thing is that you keep the orientation of there's a chamfer. If you look at the big end of the connecting rod, one side is flat and one side is chamfered. So you want to just keep that orientation correct. So if you just picture it, instead of the pistons, oh please, I had so many people. Yeah, if you swap it from one side to the other and turn it around, you're not doing anything. No, you're wrong. Just picture the 8 cylinders of the engine like this. Instead of being like this, just picture them straightened out. So what would happen if you take it out and you turn it around, flip it to the next one? You're obviously keeping everything in the, you're reversing the orientation. So it just depends on what you're doing. Let's see. Chris Roberts? What's the difference between hookers and streetwalkers? I didn't think there would be a difference. I think a hooker is a hooker, right? It just depends on what city you're coming from. And I guess lot lizard would be pretty much the same category, yes? Wayne Bizzle, Tony, did you see the Aradima Brown 12-cylinder build for the record setter? I did not. I have not. Let's see. Streetwalker headers fit better. Let's see. Max Ridge Dick Dastardly, thank you for the super chat, my brother. Lazy A-hole Ranches prefers ladies of the evening. Mo Pardon, hey UT, I just finished watching today's UTG video upload. Also, so the guys over at Jim Bennett's place, all great stuff. I didn't see that video. It popped up on my phone, but I haven't seen the video yet. Pentastar, my home track, Cordova, and I do love that track, has been sold to Dan and Shelley Crownheart of 1320 Promotions. Nice. Let's see, Lady Associates. John Wilburn says Jim Bennett is the resident disc brake propagandist. Mopar 73 does. Hey, Tony, do videos on the voltage limiter on the Mopar. Fuel and temperature gauge. Mine works sometimes. Possibly. Fixing. Tony smokes a lot of weed. I don't smoke any weed at all. And again, not that I have anything against it. I mean, knock yourself out. I just don't have the time. I don't have the, I got to be on. And, smoking weed. The problem with smoking weed is that it makes you feel good. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel good. It makes you relaxed and stuff. And in this world, if you want to get ahead, you can't feel good and relaxed. You got to go, 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 go. So no, I don't smoke it, but I encourage you to smoke as much as you possibly can. Captain Desmo, what's your take on it? The DeSoto 331 and 392 Fire Dome are Chrysler Industrial Hemis any good? Those are not DeSotos. The Fire Dome was a DeSoto, but those other engines are the Chryslers, the ones that you listed. And those are Firepower, not Fire Dome. Michael Benolio, Uncle Tony, you are quoted in Steve Magnanti's 1001 Muscle Car Facts number 389 from Cars Illustrated 1986 T-Types Observations. Actually, if you go to, the GNX, when they made the GNX, there's a book that came in the GNX. And in that GNX book, they quoted me from that same story. It was called From Buick with Balls. That was in 1986 Cars Illustrated magazine. You can actually find copies. If you just put in From Buick with Balls in the Google search, that story should come up. A few different people reprinted that. Hemi hit 68. Not preaching, but give up those smokes, Tony. You can continue doing what you love the rest of your life to the fullest. Love you, brother. I appreciate that, brother, man. But I like my smoking. It's if it takes me out early, it takes me out early. I've had a fantastic run. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm in good shape. I'm almost 60 years old, and I don't have any negative side effects from it. So, do some early Hemi stuff, possibly if the opportunity comes up. BS Custom says he doesn't smoke for his health; he smokes for everyone around himself, and that is true. That is absolutely true. I've had bouts with anger management issues as a younger person. You know what I mean? So the smoking probably keeps a lot of that at bay. Ever try stogies? No. Yeah, I did years ago. They don't do it for me. They don't do it for me. Silver Horse 347. I quit smoking and my health took a huge shit. You're not the first person I've heard say that. Captain Desmo, have you had your hands in an early Hemi engines, and what do you look for? I actually had my hands in many early Hemi engines back in the very early 1990s. I don't remember. I don't know how much I may have forgotten over the last 35 years. But at one point, I had my hands in a lot of those engines, and I was very up on them. Maybe not so much anymore. Smoking keeps your immune system in high gear. That's a reasonable assumption. Kyle Green, how's it going? How is it going? How are you doing, man? Yeah, hit the likes. Definitely hit the likes. Or hit the dislikes. It's okay. Either way, you don't hurt my feelings. Hemi hit 68. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you very much. Let's see. Olive, how are you, Olive? How are you doing? Nathan Gary, Tony needs a new video on Bottle Rocket. I was actually considering taking it out and just beating it up and making like a short. What's going on, Uncle? No identity. Uh, PC term. The nitro motors were they 417 Donovan, 426 KB, or what? Yes, I worked on Donovan's, KB. We had a pet KB that's another story. I should actually do a video on that particular block. JP1, spent a lot of time with JP1s. I got out of it just as the TFX was coming in, so I had some experience with the TFX 92, but that's it. Zach Winter, thank you, man. Back in the 70s, did cab companies in New York have their own mechanics or did they source out? Did you work on any cabs? What were the most common trouble? Actually, see, I was okay. I come from Staten Island. And one of the things in Staten Island in the 70s was gypsy, not gypsy, car services, gypsy cabs, car services. And the cab stand, like, it's the classic, 1970s New York thing, right? And yes, I spent a lot of time around the cab stand and the various cab people. I was an owner operator when I was 17 years old. And what we used to do is to run the cabs at night and I would fix cars during the day. I mean, even when I was a teenager, I would work around the clock, which is how I end up with as many freaking stories as I have because I just haven't had any time off. I work during the day, I work at night, I do it 7 days a week. So when I was a kid, yeah, I was an owner operator with a car service, and I had a driver in the car. I was 17 years old, and I had a driver in the car that would drive it during the day, and then he would pass it over to me. I'd finish up working whatever car thing I was doing, and then I'd eat, take a shower, and then I would go run the cab all night. So I had a lot of experience with car services back in that period of time. Let's see. Ever work with Latka? I don't know who Latka is. Let's see. Cecil Gilbert, single exhaust, muffler up front or out back? Up front, heat. It'll last longer if you put it up front. Michael Benolio, can you do a video on welding up the spider gears on the rear end and the practicality of driving them on the street? I mean, we've covered that in the past. Austin, what's happening, brother, man? Have you used a hookah yet? No, I got the hookah here, but I didn't bring any. I don't have any tobacco or coals. I just showed the hookah at the beginning of the beginning of the stream. I did a video on welding spider gears. I guess I did a video on welding spider gears. D&W Garage, what's happening? Douglas Filer, Bottle Rocket started out as a budget build, is going the other way now. No, it's still a budget build. I mean, there's maybe $3,800 in the car right now. Dallas, what's happening, Dallas? American Hot Rod Association Drag Racing History Channel just popped in. The Junkyard Jeff Fellows go to hooks. Yeah, I got it. Look here. Got a nice hookah. But we have no coal and we have no tobacco. So tomorrow I'll pick up coal and tobacco and we can hook while we work on stuff. One bad AMX. Hey, Uncle Tony, what's the status on the cleanest van charger? Oh, it's been gone for over a year. Ian Scott, Tony, I got my first classic. Congratulations. It's a 66 D200 camper special. I like that. With a 318. Thank you for inspiring me to get my hands dirty. That is the ultimate goal of this channel, is to get people to actually get out and get their hands dirty. That's the whole point of this channel. It's why we do what we do. Jeff Mello, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the content and entertainment you put up, man. And thank you for your super chat. I greatly appreciate that. No, but seriously, that is the whole point of this channel, right? If the channel had if there was any like stated goal, right, with this channel, and there really isn't one. But if I was to state a goal for it, it would be to inspire people to get out and get your hands dirty, or even better than that, inspire people to get your wheels turning. You know what I mean? And that's why we do so much tech stuff. That's why that's why we do so many things concerning theory and so on and so forth, to try to take some of the mystery out. And if you take a little bit of the mystery out, people, oh wait, that makes sense. I can figure that out. I can do this myself. And then the next thing you know, you're out there in the shop or the garage or the driveway or the lean-to or wherever you happen to be, and you're turning wrenches, man. And that is the whole point behind this channel. That's why we do what we do. BS Customs, you got me back into it. Used to do all this kind of stuff in high school, hanging out with friends and building motors and doing shit, and then I got out of it and I got back into it because of you. Thank you. Thank you, BS Customs. I appreciate that. I mean, to know that I inspired somebody to actually get out and, okay, so like, I don't want to get into like political stuff. Oh, my signs keep falling over. There we go. More part Dad got me in that one. I don't want to get into like politics or quote current events, right? But there's a lot of weird stuff happening in the world today, right? And some of us have been watching it build for years now, years and years. Okay, and it's coming to a head, and nothing that's happening now is really surprising, right? But people are like, well, what can you do about it, right? So it's like you see how jacked up things are in the world, okay? And you're like, what can I do about it? What can I possibly do to help turn this around and make things cool again or good again, or you know what I mean? What can I do? Okay, and what you can do, right, is go out and work on stuff. Okay, what you could do is go out and work on stuff. So like, you can't change. There's people who have differing political opinions or societal opinions than you do, and you're not going to change their mind. You're absolutely not going to change their mind. And there's nothing you or an army is going to do to change the world like that, right? So what you do is you change just the parts of it that you have control over. You know what I'm saying? And you do that by being the most industrious you that you could possibly be, and set the example and the pace for everybody around you, because they'll pick up on the vibe. You know what I'm saying? If you're involved in a project, if you're doing something productive and creative and all this other stuff, the people around you will also start to pick up on that. So it's like, what's that for saying? Be the change that you want to be, right? And that's it, exactly. Be the change that you want to see, right? That's it. Right. So if you're tired of seeing everything turn to shit, right? Well, then take your little corner of the world, and in our case, it's our shop and our toolbox. You know what I mean? Or it's our driveway and our toolbox, and be the best you that you could possibly be, and build the best machine that you can build with your resources. And if everybody does that, you know what I mean? If everybody just gets involved, you know what I mean? Think about it this way, right? Think about it this way. If everybody in the world was building a car, if everybody in the world just stopped and they started building a project car or a motorcycle or a truck or a boat or whatever it happens to be, right? If everybody on the planet was busy working on a project, how much trouble would there be in this world, right? There would be no trouble in this world. Everything would just be absolutely perfect, because we would all be involved and we'd all be being productive and creative. And that's what we're built for. So I don't know. That was a rant. I know. We're going way off into crazy places, but I had to get that off my chest. This makes so much sense. I hope so. CW, Uncle Tommy, would you want to see your blue Roadrunner on the streets? You will eventually, man. Everything, all of our car, everything we own will eventually get cycled through this channel. Josh Wilson, just bought a 68 Plymouth Satellite. The stock gauges aren't working. As someone who doesn't have experience with the wiring, where should I start? On the gauge, it's the gauge cluster itself. Take the gauge cluster itself out. Make sure it's grounded. All of those gauges ground to the aluminum housing on that. So make sure that the screws that hold it are clean. And if it's just the gas gauge and the temperature gauge that aren't working, it's going to be the voltage limiter in the back. Just do a Google search on Chrysler voltage limiters, and you'll see that'll pop up. Um, okay, let's see. Darren Seymour, you inspires me to buy the C-body, which then inspired me to buy a house and garage. You have inspired me 440,000. That is awesome. Seriously, right? You guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate income. You know what I mean? Income is great. I do this for a living, right? So super chats and stuff like that are awesome. It definitely pays bills. But even more important than that is when that's the biggest pay I want to see. Right? You inspired me to do this, get in over my head, to bite off more than I can chew. Right? And that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Uh, let's see. John Wilburn, Tony, you could do a year-by-year Roadrunner info dump with your two Roadrunners. Didn't I do that already? I did a Roadrunner info dump. I did that about a year ago. New City Carpet. Any chance the 1967 GTX will make a dragster appearance? I have no idea. That's Andy's. And Andy lives over by Fort Knox, and I think he has a place up here in Clarksville also. So I mean, we'll get together at some point, but I have no idea what his plans are for the car. Well, Pardon, thank you, sir. Funds from Bottle Rocket, the car to put the 1970 Dodge Coronet on the map of cool. It debuted on UTG November 11th, 2018, just over 3 years ago. Bliss so far. It makes me smile every time I see it. Well, pardon, seriously, Dan, I was like, because we're like, now Kathy wants to do shorts, right? Shorts are, we just make a minute-long video. And I said to myself today, I says, this week we'll take Bottle Rocket out in the parking lot and just blast it a couple of times for a short. So yeah, we'll get that out. But thank you for the super chat. John Wilburn, I remember the A-body info dump. The Roadrunner video was less detailed. Was it? Probably because I was more comfortable when I did the Dart info dump. We was like we were still like kind of early on in this channel, man. And I don't think I was like as smooth as I am. Pretty smooth now, right? Doug Nardin, Fort Knox. Andy guards the gold. Well, at one time there was gold in there. There's big conspiracy about that. You know what I mean? That's a possibility. So from what I understand, at some point not too long ago, within the last 15 years, there was a transaction made with gold from Fort Knox that had legitimately come from Fort Knox, and it was very, very yellow, which led people to believe that it was part of the confiscation gold. The government did this gold confiscation in 1933, and leading people to believe that the original main stash of bullion had been squandered somehow, and the gold that was now in Fort Knox, however much it was, is not quite of the purity based on the color of it. So I mean, and this is something I remember reading from a couple of different sources, probably about 15 years ago. In fact, I'm in the metals market. I've been in precious metals now for 20 years. So I'm very familiar with that whole thing. Goldfinger got it all. Smoothest Tennessee whiskey. Chris Greenaway, Tony, where's the Mercury Cyclone Spoiler 2 prototype buddies again? The problem is getting out there. I see getting to Steve's place is easy. He's only about 45 minutes away from me. Actually, he lives in the same exact area that Vice Grip moved to. They're probably like neighbors. the where that car is a good hour away. So it's hard. It's very hard for me to get away right now. French onion, it's spray painted gold. Precious metals guy, no gold duster. No gold duster. Nixon knew. There's you go into the conspiracy realm of the world, and it's like half I see it. My jury's out on Nixon. I'm not sure. Nixon did a very underhanded thing with with closing the gold window, which happened on August 15th, 1971. Very underhanded thing, but and also his meetings with China. I mean, you could if you want to blame China, right, on anybody, you'd have to blame it on Nixon, because Nixon is the person who actually set up that opened the door between us and China, and then the rest is history. And then there's another school of thought that I don't even want to get into. I'm not even going to get into it because it's too controversial. So I'm not going to get into it. FF, good evening, Antonio. I appreciate the segment you did on the oil embargo of the 70s and today's parallels. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to do a lot more on that. Nose with guns. Nixon was just doing what he was told to do, like any other president. The thing is, right, you got to realize that Nixon was vice president, right, under Eisenhower. And Eisenhower was absolutely a good guy. Okay. So, remember, it was Eisenhower who warned against the military industrial complex, right? So, Nixon was vice president under Eisenhower. So it's hard to really imagine that he's really that bad of a guy. I don't know. Like I said, my jury's out on whether Nixon was a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know. American Howard, Dallas. I thought Feather Duster had polished aluminum bumpers. No, just the bumper brackets. Ruggy Shuri, Tony, you ever mess with alcohol engines? Never. Pump gas and nitromethane are the only two things I've ever messed with. I've never played with an alcohol motor. There's a lot that there's a lot that I'd like to learn about running alcohol. I mean, I know the basics. I could probably set one up and actually get it to function basically, but I don't know anything about getting the last oomph out of an alcohol motor. I don't know. For me, it was always pump gas and nitromethane, and I really never saw the reason for anything in between. I still don't. How do you think Rockefeller got to be VP? Well, okay, yeah, I know, but think about this for a second now, right? Before Nixon left, right? He booted Rockefeller out and put Ford in. Okay, so think about that for a second, right? Nixon knew and that's what I'm saying. You see, that's what I'm saying. The jury's out on him, okay? Because yes, Rockefeller was his vice, okay? But when Nixon knew that his days were numbered, they were going to push him out, right? And why else would they push him out? If he wasn't a good guy, why would they push him out? So what did he do, right? He swapped Rockefeller for Ford, and then he resigned. Okay, so think about that for a second. Doug Rutley, Tony, I've been thinking a ton about what you said. Are hot rod guys will overcome regulations? Of course. I'm going with I'm going with you're right. Internal combustion engines can be run on at least a few different fuels. Absolutely. Agnew was Nixon's VP on the first time around. John Wilburn, always cheat, always win. Cold War Motors. How do you know something is true? You aren't allowed to say it, and now YouTube hides the dislikes. How do you know it's true? I don't know. I don't know. Mostly, well, I mean, see, it's going into conversations that are really too abstract to get into here now. Wayne Buzzle, have you ever heard of the GEET engine? GEET engine? I have not. They're pulling you in, Tony. Don't do it. Dakota's timeout. It's all on topic. Dakota, how are you doing, brother, man? It is all on topic. It's all tied together. But how much of it do you really want to get into? Tony, what's your favorite Mopar engine? I don't really have a favorite. If I had to choose one or the right, the 340 and the 383 are my two favorite motors in general. What's happening, Joseph F? Doing good with Dakota. Doing good. We need to get into all of it. Bro, you have a good inquisitive mind, man. Go down the rabbit hole and see what you find in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I can tell you. Just go down the rabbit hole. That's my advice to anybody, right? You see the rabbit hole, go ahead. Just go dive down the rabbit hole and see what you pull out of there. Nubs with guns. Bot attacks on YouTube. Don't be ridiculous. Sounds like you don't really understand how that works. Nubs with guns. I had a very unusual thing happen. Okay. I had a very unusual thing happen concerning bots on YouTube. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, we did that thing on Project X. Okay, you remember that video I did, right? It was called the most vile thing I've ever seen done with a car, and I was pissed. Okay, so we did that video. It got like 80,000 views, so which isn't a lot, but it's a lot for this channel. So within an hour of posting that video, we were watching the sub count. Okay. Now remember, we're doing this channel for 3 years. We started it 3 years ago this last September. So we're into this for 3 years and 2 months now. So we put that video out. About an hour later, we're watching the sub count, and the sub count is going whoop, 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 and we're picking up a sub every minute, a sub every 3 minutes. Then there's 10 subs pop up, and 2 subs pop up, and it's constant. Like all of a sudden, the sub count went berserk only after we did that video. And like I said, we're doing this channel for 3 years now. Never once. If you go back, and you can find all this stuff right on there are ways to see our sub counts and all that. I can't think of the name of the site, but you can find it. You can find all of the information that we have. And some of it isn't very accurate because I know we actually and what they say, but that's besides the point. You can watch the sub count. So our sub count has been a truly even and consistent line. Okay. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning of the video. We had one blip in terms of sub count, right? When we had that video that went viral, the tag jump video. So we picked up like 40,000 subs off of that one video. But then besides that, take that one out. You watch the rest of the whole channel is like this. It's just an even straight line. And at the time, it was like 210,000, 211,000. Well, we put that video out, and then all of a sudden, our sub count went berserk, and we picked up like 4,000 subs. We went from like 210,000 to 214,000 in a day. Okay, so like 4,000 subs in a day. We usually pick up 4,000 subs over the course of a month. Kathy and I look at each other like, what the hell is going on here? This is great. I mean, it's, the next day those subs were gone, right? So what happened was, now we did a video, right? We crossed Motor Trend's like path, and we got a bot attack. We got a sub bot attack. They did it probably to raise a red flag or create some kind of turmoil between us and YouTube. YouTube caught it and cut it out. So if you look at our sub count, it goes like this, and then you get to that video, the Motor Trend video, goes like this, and it goes back down like this, right? And that was a legit bot attack. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So YouTube bots are absolutely real, and somebody at Motor Trend has got control. And you think about this, right? Motor Trend, all right? Motor Trend, 6.7 million subs. They got 6.7 million subs, and we get more views on the average video than they do. So our average view count is actually higher than Motor Trend's average view count, but they have 6.7 million subs. We have 200,000. Go figure that one out. So somebody over there is playing games. There's no doubt, no question in my mind, because I just lived through it myself. Fubar just put the link to our merch. If you guys want to buy a hat, a shirt, I don't know, whatever, stickers, whatever stuff we got there, Fubar just put the link up to our merch. So UncleTony'sGarage.com, and there's our store, and buy stuff. Christmas coming up. Christmas, it's the holiday season, right? It's the season that everybody needs. Excuse me, a UTG shirt. And we have new shirts overdue. We have a couple of them that are in the works, and we'll have them on the store within the next week or two. Yes, Fubar the axe. You agree on the A Hill? I agree on the Project X. What a disaster! Embarrassing. I agree. Katie von Spracken. Uncle Tony, have you ever seen a Norberg Bullet Flathead 6? I have not. I have not. 1, 2, 3. I don't care. Okay, Tony, let's talk China. I don't want to talk China. You know why I don't want to talk China? Because there's a confusion between the Chinese people and the Chinese government, and I am no fan of the CCP, right, at all. I am a devout capitalist. Actually, something, they're devout capitalists too, but it's just a weird system. So I am no fan of the CCP. I am no fan of the things that have happened over here. But I've known many Chinese people over the course of my life, and my problem with talking about China or singling out China is that you're including the people who work in the factories, the people who actually get up every morning the same way you do and go to work the same way that you do and do what they're told the same way that you do. Well, that's why I hate talking about, quote, China, because it includes those hardworking people in it. So I don't really want to talk about China, and that's why I kind of always try to bite my tongue a little bit when China comes up, because you're including a country of people, right, that are just exactly like us, doing exactly the same that we are, and it's their government and the relationship between government and industry and trade, and that has no bearing on the people who are in China actually doing the work, and that's why I have a hard time with that. Otto 1303, Tony, are you surprised that as the internal combustion engine is reaching peak efficiency and horsepower and economy that they want to switch to EV? No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. They have wanted to for a long time. They're not going to be able to pull it off. It's just not going to happen. Let's see. I have to catch up here. Eureka 7, it would be possible if they did nuclear power, but for some reason we're allergic to that. I happen to like nukes, or nuclear power, nuclear energy, right? I think there's a lot of fear involved in it. Unreasonable amounts of fear. But I think nuclear would be the way to go. D. Scaglione, wait. Wasn't the Honda Civic CVCC back in the 70s getting 40 miles per gallon? Yes, it was. Let's see. Nuclear is a big steam engine. Yes, exactly. What I want to know is, here's the thing, okay? What the hell's the matter with hydro, right? I mean, it's the one thing that nobody ever talks about. You would think the green people would be lined up from here to the moon talking about hydro. See, that's how you know everything is a scam. That's how you know everything is a scam. Everything is a scam. Hydro is there. It's available. It's completely free. It's completely clean. It runs 24/7 without anybody paying any attention to it. It does it all on its own. But hydro is never brought into the equation. Why is hydro never brought into the equation? The seas are always moving. The oceans are always moving. Why can't the ocean currents be used to power? Why can't waves be used to power hydro? We have so many rivers and waterfall. I mean, we have so much water in this country moving in so many different directions. Right underneath me right now, several hundred feet down, is the biggest aquifer on the planet, and it's always moving at some crazy miles an hour. Why can't that be tapped into as a source of hydro? See, hydro is everywhere all the time, and it's completely free, right? Why is nobody exploring or pushing hydroelectric? Because nobody can make any money off of it. So it's the same problem with nukes. With nuclear energy is it's free. Well, it's not free. When I say it's free, it's like you set this thing up and you maintain it, as you go along, but nothing is being continuously fed to it, right? Why? Because nobody makes any money off of nuke. Nobody makes any money off of hydro. They make money off of the status quo. So let's see. Roman K, any hoping on you and Vice Grip Garage coming together now that you're both in Tennessee? If Derek has my number, if Derek wants to do something, I'm here. It's not prop. Okay, I'm the smaller channel. He's the bigger channel. He has 5 times the subs that I do. I'm the smaller channel, so it's not appropriate for me to reach out to him to do something. If he wants to reach out to me to do something, yeah, I would love to. We've talked on the phone several times. He's a really nice guy, and I would totally be open to doing something with him, but it's not up to me to contact him. He's the bigger channel. He would have to contact me. New City Corporate, beautiful day at Island Dragway today. I have always loved that track. It was such a cool little track. Silver Bell, Tony, why do Top Fuel and super high-powered streetcars use zoomies? Aren't they losing tons of power from having no scavenging effect? A supercharged engine doesn't need it. The supercharged engine doesn't need the scavenging effect. The blower, the supercharger is actually blowing through during that overlap period, so there is no scavenging necessary. On the super high power, like the super high power naturally aspirated engines, they're nitrous engines. Nitrous engines don't really need it either. There is so much being blown through during that overlap period that they don't need that collective scavenging. It's more important. Evacuation is more important than scavenging. So, but there's your line, right? If evacuation is more important than scavenging, then zoomies. If scavenging is more important than evacuation, then a collected header. Does that make any sense? 3T will run. What's happening, brother man? Reactor Gaming 13. What would cause 318 to drop oil pressure significantly all at once? I mean, short of like a spun bearing or a wiped out bearing, there's a stuck bypass in the oil pump. The oil pump bypass. If it sticks open, you'll have like no oil pressure. The way you tell with that, start the motor up. You'll have like zero oil pressure. Okay, bring up to around 2,000 RPM. If the gauge comes up and it poof, falls right back down, watch the gauge. Okay, so if the gauge goes up and down normally, it's an internal engine problem. If the gauge goes up and then as soon as you let off the gas, it just falls, like literally just falls, it's a stuck bypass in the pump. William Stamper, the huge ocean tide powered hydro generator sounds good to me. I guess cost is a factor as none of the elites would make any money from that. Well, that's exactly. The problem in this world is, yeah, I don't want to get into it. Good evening, Killer B. How are you? Fred Garvin, I missed the dry hopping funny cars did in the 60s and 70s. Sure added to the drama for us fans. We did them with the fuel altereds and stuff into the 90s. John Mouse, Google is using ocean hydro to power some of the data centers. Okay. New City Carpet. Yes, Tony, that just happened to me exactly. Which did? James Hot Rod. I still dry hop today. What do you have a fuel car, James? Gideon Wallace. Hey, UTG, what's your favorite style of guitar? I'm not a musician, man. I don't have a favorite style. William Stamper, what's the first year ratio on that A513 trans? John Wilburn. Ask John Wilburn. How about a clogged oil filter? No, because there's a bypass in the oil filter. D. Scott on UT, what do you prefer, an interference engine or a non-interference engine? That's an odd question. I mean, I never really thought about that. I mean, I guess I would prefer a non-interference engine because it's one less thing to total the motor. Stupid thing like a timing chain or a gear goes out. But I mean, it is what it is. I never really gave much thought to that. Oil pump check ball fill. Yeah. And did it act like that? Zero oil pressure. You give it gas, the gauge will start to come up, and as soon as you take your foot off the gas, the gauge just falls. The needle just falls. Is that how it happened? Silver Bell, have you considered running alternative fuel in Plan Z, methanol, 85, nitro, etc.? No, pump gas. Wayne Ferguson, ever heard of in-hub motors? You mean like the ones that they're doing with the electric bicycles? Some of those things are pretty cool. The electric bikes, the electric scooters, where the motor is actually built into the hub of the wheel. Yeah, I've seen that. Very cool stuff. Doug Nogden, when were oil filters standard equipment on cars? I know the late 40s oil filter systems were an option. Yeah, I don't think they became really standardized until around 1950, but I could be wrong about that. TA900 Bad Bot was just thinking, with this push for electric, my grandkids will probably never even own a gas car. No, don't bet on that. Don't bet on that. Some of those, yeah, Doug Rutley, some of those electric bikes are basically motorcycles. Some of them, I'm telling you, man, some of them are really cool. Um, Dakota's timeout. Are retrofit hydraulic lifter roller setups supposed to make noise? My dad built a 350 for a guy, and it's not too bad when you first crank it up, but the longer it runs, the worse it gets. Yes, that's the problem that people have been having. That's the problem I had with Bottle Rocket. Exactly that. As the motor warms up, as the lifters warm up, they get soft. They go soft, and they'll start ticking away. Yeah, that is the problem. We actually did a whole video on that. Larry's Angry Fish Ale House. I like that, Larry. When can we expect an update on the fuel efficiency project? It's not a project. It's not a fuel efficiency project. It's just there are things that we're going to do to incorporate into some of our vehicles that get used like as regular drivers that are aimed at increasing fuel mileage. And as we do each of those things, we'll do a video on each of those things. I don't really have a plan or a schedule for it or any particular goals, but it's just fuel economy. We're making the cars a little bit more efficient is going to be part of our program going forward. See, that's the okay. See, okay. So from the time I'm a kid, like literally from the time I'm a kid, right, 17 years old, I realized that one car cannot do it all. And if you try to do it all with one car, you're going to be miserable. You're not going to get good results out of it. YT Watcher, $5. Thank you, sir. One out of California. Where is it hot rod friendly? Come to Tennessee. Come to Nashville, Tennessee. This is the most hot rod friendly place in the world, man. No question about it. Thank you for the super chat. So when I was a kid, I realized very early on, I was like 16, 17 years old, and I says, there is no way that one car is going to do what I want it to do. I want a car that's fast. I want a car that's just bad, right? I want, okay. But I also want to be able to just get where I got to go, and I don't want to have things to no special treatment. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to feed it special gas. I don't want to have to work on it every 2 minutes. I don't want to, right? So I realized when I was a kid that you can't do it all with one car. You have to have multiple cars if you want to have anything successful, right? So, and when I say successful, I mean a car that actually functions in the fashion that you want it to function. So early on, I realized that there's a distinction between my hot rods, things that I hot rod, and things that I drive. And if I drive something, it's whatever I happen to drive. Yeah, I want to drive something cool, no question about it. I want to drive a vintage Mopar. That's my thing. I love those cars, right? But if I drive it every day, the only thing I care about is that it starts, it runs, it gets decent gas mileage. It doesn't give me any aggravation. It's relatively quiet. You know what I mean? I don't care how fast it goes. It makes no difference to me. And on the flip side, if I build a performance car, I don't care what kind of gas mileage it gets. I don't care how many times I got to work on it. I don't care if I got to tear the motor out of it every time I run it, right? It makes no difference to me. It's a toy. So I go with it that way. So basically, what we're going to do is start to put some of that other aspect of my personality, of my interest into our videos. In that, if I build something that's going to be driven on the street every day, all I care about is efficiency. You know what I mean? And then when I say efficiency, I don't necessarily mean just gas mileage, but like bang for the buck. How much work and effort has to go into it versus how many miles you get out of it without any aggravation, that sort of thing. So there is no one specific fuel economy project coming up, but all of them that I drive on a regular basis are going to get treatments to up their fuel economy. Mike Batista, I care about gas mileage because I drive my cars a lot. You see, and I don't, right? It's like I drive my fleet. They're in rotation. I drive them all the time. But the faster cars or the hot rod stuff, I drive it very, very infrequently. You know what I mean? It's like, because in my mind, there has to be a purpose for it, right? If you're going to build something that has 400, 500, 600, 800 horsepower. However much, pick a horsepower number out of your ass, right? How often do you use that power, right? What did it cost you to put that power in there? What does it take to maintain that power, right? How often do you use it? And the wear and tear of using it normally, like for instance, you build an engine. Let's just say you build an engine. You build a 600 horsepower motor, normally aspirated, and it's a 7,000 RPM motor. And it's got a fairly radical camber thing. It's got aggressive. It's got big lifts. It's got aggressive lobes. You've got killer valve springs in there. But now you're going to drive this thing to and from work, right? It's like when I hear these people like, yeah, I got my 800 horsepower big block and I drive it to and from work, and I think to myself, you're a freaking idiot, because your 800 horsepower motor with all of that high specialized high performance equipment inside is slowly turning to shit as you drive it on the street every day. You know what I'm saying? Those valve springs are losing their life. It's like, now, if you build a hot rod to go fast, use it to do hot rod things that go fast. And if your daily driver doesn't require 800 horsepower to get you to where you got to go to work or to school or whatever it is, why would you put it in there? James, I changed a lot of valve springs. Let's see. Bruce W. Tony, gasoline is about $10 New Zealand a gallon. My V8 not use much use anymore. Yeah. UTG, do you have any? Oh, 318 will run. Do you have any plans down the road for the Gold Early A? Just to leave it alone. It's so original, man. It's so original. It even has the cert. I bought that from Al. Al, who's helping me with the slag hammer. I bought that from him last year. And no, I have no plans for it at all. I just want to leave it alone. It even has the Certa card in it. It's all exactly stock, just the way it came from the factory. It has one dead cylinder in it. I'll probably pull the motor apart at some point and figure and fix whatever it is, bad rings or a bad valve, whatever it happens to be. But other than that, no, man, that car drives like a dream. I'm not going to touch it. Rats and Rod's Garage. If you're poor like me, you build a 600 horsepower motor so you can use 400 horsepower on it and last a very long time. It doesn't work like that, man. It does not work like that. It doesn't work like that. Wayne Ferguson, any idea if there are electric in-hub motors that could fit into a rear axle housing, rear-wheel drive classic? That's an interesting idea. I've told people, see, in my mind, like, okay, electric cars are new, right? Everybody's on an electric car bandwagon. The whole hybrid idea has been, do you know the first production hybrid was actually an Opel in 1969, right? That was the first hybrid, right, that they actually sold to the public. 1969 was an Opel Kadett with an electric motor and the gasoline motor and batteries. Okay. I've often thought about including an electric motor and a bank of capacitors instead of batteries for a drag racing application. So picture this, right? I've talked about this before. You have an electric motor attached to the differential, okay? And in the trunk of the car, you would have a bank of capacitors. So when you hit the gas, right, those capacitors would throw all their shit at the electric motor. And there would be enough residual power to keep the motor spinning relatively freely so it wouldn't create drag on the driveline. So you would be able to launch the car or just about full electric with whatever the capacitors could throw at it. And then from that point, the gasoline motor takes over and gets you down the rest of the track. That's an idea that I've toyed with. It's been in the back of my mind, I'm going to say, since the 80s. But so, yeah, and a functional hub electric motor to be incorporated like into a classic type of car as a booster, like a hybrid type of situation, I think would be fantastic. I would be the very first one. Okay, if somebody was to come up with something like that, right? A hub motor to be used in a vintage type of car, right? I would be in line one of the first to actually say yes. Because I don't have the time or the inclination to fabricate something like that. I just don't have it, right? But if it was a kit available, right? So, yeah, man, I'd be all over it. I would be all over it. I think it's neat. Okay, this is going really fast. I gotta try. I gotta. Uh, B-Dan, what 1324, an electric motor version of the Turbonique drag axle. Yes, the Turbonique is where I actually got the idea from. It's exactly where like the nucleus of the idea came from. It was like, okay, well, if you can do it with thermoline, right, in a rocket, which is a little like hard to deal with, how about some of the capacitors like they use on the elevators, right? Actually, I had an occasion, I was talking to somebody, and the subject, he may have been an elevator mechanic. I don't remember. We were talking like, and that's where I got the idea with the capacitors, because evidently they use these giant freaking capacitors for the elevators and the side, like in skyscraper buildings. And I was like, man, a couple of capacitors like that, throwing that kind of like, zoop at, a little electric motor in the drive lane, man, that thing would rock. So yeah, that's Wayne Buzzle. Tony, Muscle-mobile or Dragula? Dragula. One band AMX. What's Uncle Tony's thoughts on Cummins 12 valve? I don't have one. I know nothing about them. Wayne Ferguson, very dangerously high voltage capacitors. Well, I mean, everything comes with a risk, right? Popular cycle capacitors. I'm thinking of we used to store power for huge audio car systems. No, you need much bigger than that. 426 Hemi, UT ever crossed paths with Marty Shore in the magazine days? Yes, many times. I knew Marty well. Marty was actually the Buick PR guy when I was doing Cars Illustrated, Muscle Car, and all of those magazines. So yeah, I knew Marty very well. He's still around. I haven't talked to him in 35 years, but he's still around. BS Customs. I'm an electrical engineer, and I can say I am not touching a 1 farad capacitor. Okay, I mean, again, I'm not ready to go and build this thing myself. So somebody who actually knows what the deal is with them would have to. French Onion saying those new Tundras have the electric motor between the motor and transmission. Wait for one of them to wreck. Someone will make a bell housing at that. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, that's the general idea. Zero says the new Hyundai Veloster has electric boost, like the old push to pass Indy car, only for a few seconds of Korean fury. Is that what it is? Push to pass? Olive says the first thing I learned about electronics is no touchy capacitors. Edwin Case couldn't be any riskier than Nitro. Nitro has a bad name. Nitro is very, very tame. People don't really, if it's a weird reference, but if you light your barbecue with nitro or you light your barbecue with lighter fluid, like just regular barbecue, it's the same fire. Gasoline is actually much more volatile than nitro. You can't light nitro fumes. You can drop a lit cigarette in a lit cigarette. You can drop a lit match in a puddle of nitro, and it'll probably go out. Nitro has the same specific gravity as water. In fact, if you watch nitro like pour, like let's say you fill in a fuel tank and some of it pours, over pours, it splashes out. It flows exactly like water does. It doesn't like do that spread out thing like gasoline or alcohol does. Nitro literally has all of the same basic properties of water, right? Nitro is not what you think it is. Nitro becomes a thing when you compress it. When you compress it and light it, then it's a whole different animal. But when it's out in the open like that, it's literally it's harmless stuff. There was an incident in Texas in 1958, I think it was, where a rail car loaded with nitromethane was on fire. So it actually it compressed the heat, caused the pressure inside the tank to go up to the point that it exploded, and that was like a crazy explosion. It like wiped out half a freaking town. That was a rail car full of nitromethane. But like I said, if you're just handling the stuff, you know what I mean, like just like regular liquid nitro, it's a pussy cat of a liquid, man. You don't know. Mike Petit says nitro like diesel. No. I mean, it's not an oil. It's not oily like diesel is, but it's actually maybe a little bit heavy. Okay, listen, water and nitro. The specific gravity is so close. It's like water and nitro have like the same basic properties. Let's see. Francis Antonio, it's not a middle distillate like diesel. No, it's actually a byproduct of ammonia production. Neptonic 101 Tony, you're going to start a nitro RC channel now? No, I know nothing about RC motors. Contact Bob Lazar for Alien Tech. He's probably got the hotline. He probably knows like the stuff that we don't to go fast. Hydrazine. Well, hydrazine is a different animal. Hydrazine is used with nitromethane as an exciter, right? I did a whole thing on hydrazine. Peter Kovacs, perpetual motion conundrum, using power to start and maintain motion. Who has not contemplated perpetual motion of one sort or another? I just saw a thing. I was like flipping through Facebook real quick this afternoon, and I saw there was a picture of a guy with like a Chevy Bolt or one of them little electric cars, and he had hooked up an alternator under the back bumper with like a belt drive to the wheel, so he'd be recharging the batteries as they go down the road. And that would be a form of perpetual motion, but the losses for somebody, it's just one of those laws of nature, man, where the losses, parasitic losses, aerodynamic losses, of maintaining a road speed or maintaining not even a road speed, just maintaining a speed. The parasitic losses always outweigh the amount of electricity or the amount of energy needed to keep it spinning. So yeah, I mean, perpetual motion is a very fascinating idea, but I don't know how you get around those laws of physics. The law of diminishing returns, yeah. Greg McDonald says supercooling is the answer for free energy. I've heard stuff like that. Electric trucks predate 1900. Well, as I pointed out on a video recently, right? We've talked about this. The very first Chrysler product. So if you're a Mopar person, right? You're the great grandfather of your Mopar was an electric vehicle. It was an EV called the Electrobat, built in New York City in 1894. So, yeah, EVs have been around for a long ass time. It's Zero saying counter rotating flywheels with small electric motor could keep going. Let's just assume, right, that you could use magnets to levitate, right, uh, an object with a flywheel. Let's just say, and let's just say that you could set this thing in motion and it would stay in motion. And I think that that might be possible if you using some sort of magnetic levitation deal, where you're overcoming, right. And if you were to put it through, you could conceivably produce some form of perpetual or close to it motion using magnets, right? But what good is it, because you can't get it to apply work without losses? You know what I mean? So it's like you probably could come up with something that was as close to perpetual motion, something that maybe spin for an exceptionally long amount of time before it loses speed, but as soon as you try to put work to it, it's going to stop. You know what I mean? So it's like perpetual motion, but pointless perpetual motion. VS Customs. Well, even without work, the movement of magnetic fields is just electricity, and its loss is heat. Okay. Master Blaster wants Barter Town. Uh, let's see. YT Watcher, VW built a few experimental rabbits in the 70s. I had one after they took the motor batteries out of it. Built raucous little Boxster for the SCCA 160. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Zero, who run Barter Town? We do, man. We run Barter Town. I, John Wolper is saying angry Karens seem to have pretty close to perpetual motion when they're raging. Yeah, trigger an angry Karen, man. If we could harness that energy, right? Could you imagine if we could harness all that energy? Jason Fish, the mechanic should have been running Barter Town. In the real world, the mechanic does run Barter Town. That's right. You guys that are mechanics, your gearheads, and you got your tools, and you got your know-how, and you got your right, and like you look at it like, oh, the world's going to crash, the stock market's going to crash, hyperinflation is going to take off, it's going to wipe everybody out. You guys that have tools and know-how, right? You should just be sitting there back and saying, smiling and saying, yep, 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 go, right, go ahead, hyperinflation, bring it, baby. Because you're the ones who run right to the top of the food chain. Uh, Vince W. Hey, Tony, when to go solid flat tap it on the street with a stick? I don't know. I don't know. Francis Antonio, inflation is hurting all of us. Uh, it doesn't hurt everybody equally, bro. It doesn't hurt everybody equally. Um, Janssen 50, what does Uncle Tony want for Christmas? I have it, man. I have it. I have everything. I believe me. I have much more than I want. Right? I don't want anything else. I'm great. Thank you, though. Jason Fitch, a doctor needs a mechanic as much as a mechanic needs a doctor. Those are the valued skills in the apocalypse. Absolutely. Cold War Motors. Ever see the old High and Mighty 1850 Plymouth? It's actually 49. Supposed to be the first tunnel ram car. Yes. Okay. The High and Mighty. It was a Ram Chargers team car. 1959. It was a C altered, and it ran a 392 Hemi. Was it a 354? Might have been a 354 with a tunnel ram made out of radiator hose. It was a sheet metal box that held two Carter AFBs on the top, and it had radiator hose, right? And they used like a fuel injection intake manifold, like just the base, and that was attached, like I said, to this box with radiator hose, and it had metal like angle brackets, angle iron holding it all together and steady, and that is the first credited as the first tunnel ram as we know them in hot rodding and drag racing. But that's because Chrysler engineers at the time, and the Ram Chargers were Chrysler engineers, were very big on sonic tuning, ram tuning, all of that. But the concept of ram tuning goes way back to the 1920s when it was actually first discovered that all of these things are happening. And like aircraft engines and Formula One motors from the 1930s incorporated ram induction, but the tunnel ram is the first like our application of it, I should say the High and Mighty was the first, and their tunnel ram was the first application that would apply to us as hot rodders. Well, I mean, the Mercedes with their inline six in the 1950s, 1952, 53, they used a long runner deal. It was um, Reactor Gaming 350 versus 360 versus 351. What's your opinion? 350 common and cheap to work with. 360, an excellent engine with a better cylinder head than most of the 350s, about the same as a Vortec 350. 351, you're talking about Cleveland or a Windsor. 351, the best small block ever, period. I mean, you just can't argue with it. And Fubar just put the link to our merch again. Thank you, Fubar. Let's see. Doug Rutley, the best thing about being a tradesperson is that the FU is implied to the rest of the world. You are absolutely right. I don't want to deal with your shit. I pack up my tools and go. You are absolutely right. Dakota's timeout. Tony, what did you ever do to the hydraulic? Bro, you gotta learn how to spell hydraulic. Roll lifters and bottle rocket. They're in a box. I took them out of the motor. They're sitting in a box. If you want them, come here and I give them to you. Zero. The Mercedes 6 is also leaned over. Goldberg. Yeah, I mean technically Mercedes had the first quote slant 6, but they used that the advantage of having all of that space to the one side under the hood to create a ram manifold. And I guess it was 1952. Bruce W. Tony, 360 Magnum versus 340. What's better in your opinion and why? I prefer the 340. I like the shorter stroke version. The 360 Magnum has a good fast burn cylinder head. It's not as good as a well ported, like an XJ style head. I just prefer the 340s. I just prefer the 340s. Doug Narden, the Duesenberg brothers were amazing. The dual overhead cam Hemi-headed straight 8 with 4 valves per cylinder was so advanced for the late 1920s. Well, I mean, the motorcycle guys in the 19 teens were doing all of that stuff also. You know, they were very far ahead of all of the later innovation that found its way to high performance cars started out in motorcycles. John Timo, I just paid $600 for a set of Mopar NOS lifters for my 73 Duster 340. Is that what the going rate is these days? Zero saying the Gullwing Mercedes are so fucking cool up close, even better. Whether they are worth $1 million, that's for the dude who can pay for it. But man, they're cool, bro. I have never seen one of those up close. I mean, I've seen, you know, I've seen videos, I've seen pictures, I've read about them, but I've never seen one up close. They must be just absolutely amazing. Jupiter Mustang, my teachers called me a spastic. Mopar Dan, all the motorcycle talk is making me want a 70s Honda again. Bro, I want a Honda Trail in the worst way. They got the new one out, the 125, right? I'm fighting myself to not go pick one up, right? They're too cool. They're too cool. There's every once in a while you'll come across a Trail 70 or a 90 out there, right? I don't know. I really want one of those things. I really want one of those things. Billy Bob Holcomb, Honda CT70s are, yeah, I know. Mopar Dan, I'm with you. They are just so fun. Oh, listen, you know that. Oh God, right? That's the thing, right? It's like some people just don't understand, right? That part of being on two wheels is just having fun, right? And those little Hondas, man, it's the ultimate in fun. Nobody on the planet is going to look at you and say, "Oh, he's a badass on a motorcycle," right? So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, right? Don't even think about it. But if you just want to have pure fun, pure, simple, motorized fun, right? The little Hondas, all of them, right? The trails and the Cubs and nothing is more fun than those things. So just like buzz around town on them, nothing. I know, Tony. How's the 61 tomorrow? We're going to talk about the 61 tomorrow. Bankushi has a Hemi slant ever passed through your hands? There's no such thing as a Hemi slant. Cy DeRoach, the CTs used to be left to rot, but now they're worth gold. I was just talking to Kathy about that today, right? I was just talking about Kathy about that today because she looked at one. So, oh God, I'm going to end up buying one of these things. I know it, right? I know it. She messaged somebody on Facebook that had a CT on there for, they were looking for $1,500. It was complete. I don't think it was running, but it was complete, right? So I was like, I can't see spending $1,500 for one of those things because first you could buy a brand new one for $3,000, right? So, you know, if you're not so much worried about like the vintage part of it, and you just want to have that CT experience, then yeah, you know, go buy a new one, right? But I says I can't see spending $1,500 for something that I have literally tripped over. You know, like when I was in the Mopar parts business, I was forever going through people's yards and stashes and backyards and barns and you know, just always like the American picker type of thing. Always, and I cannot tell you how many dozens of those little Hondas. I had to move out of the way and just like, just pick up and get, because they were junk. I was like, okay, it's just left there to be dead. I can't tell you how many of those things I could have had for free. It's like, what are you going to do with that thing? Oh, take it. You want to take it, right? I can't see spending $1,500 for one now. It's not that I'm being cheap. It's just that I know there are so many like free ones that are just out there in barns and everything waiting to be had. But I'm seriously, I may buy one of the new ones. I'm fighting myself to do it because you know what I'm saying. I'm fighting myself to do it. They're so freaking cheap. How do you? They're like $3,400, brand new, brand new. You know what I mean? BS Customs, is that thing smaller than the Grom that just came out? No, it's bigger than the Grom. Nicholas B, a lot of the dealers don't have the new ones in stock. See, and I hear that they are in stock now, that they weren't in stock, but that they're out there. Wayne Buzzle, the Trail 125 is a jewel. Ah, let's not talk. I don't want to talk about it because I'm serious. You have no idea. I think I really want to go get one like tomorrow. So let's stop talking about it now. I have literally been talking myself out of it for like over a month now. Okay, so just let's not. Bruce W., what's the nitronic research sign on the wall all about? Nitronic research was back in the turn of the century, the last century, 1999, 2000, like that, 2001. There was a message board, an internet message board called Nitronic Research. It was run by a guy named Cole Kuntz. And that was when I was still in the circle of nitro people, right? And it was where we all met and talked and just shared stories and information, and it was a nitromethane community, right? We had a lot of legends were in there, you know what I mean, like and a lot of like and a lot of people like me who just like right. So and we it was just a fantastic internet community message board, and anybody who was there will see that and know, you know what I mean, know what it is. Crazy Wrench Garage, easy UT, easy. I do the same thing with trying to talk myself out of buying a supercharger for my 360. I know. Yeah, the Honda Monkey is cool too, but no, man, it's not the same. Cycle Truck Twin, what's going on with the Eep Hero? I got to pull the transmission out of it. It's here now. It was at the house. It's here now, sitting on the side. I got to pull the transmission out of it. I got to change the pump and the trans. But really nothing right now because it's kind of it's winter and I'm just gearing in now. I'm gearing up now to get all of these cars up and running and out for this new year. But we'll be working on the Eep within the next couple of few weeks. Mike in 32-451. If someone else mentions the Trail 125 one more time, Kathy is going to flip the main circuit breaker. Kathy likes it. Kathy, she's the one looking for the things. Cycle Truck 211. I ended up with an Eep 2, a 97 XJ. Congratulations, man. Doug Narden has the Honda virus. I had it since childhood. Danny Boy, but Kathy Wright, I would hope so. His and hers Trail 90s for Uncle Tom. No, one Trail 90 is enough. I don't know if I want to get into it. I just like the idea of buying something new. You know what I mean? So, like, and I'm telling you, the 125, the new one that they have, it's a jewel. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Nicholas B, I love my Kawasaki and Harley, but there's nothing quite like the smoothness of a Honda. No, you're absolutely right. To own one of them little Hondas, right? You know, like from the original Honda Invasion was just that. It was the Cubs and it's like to experience one of those bikes, they're just magic. There's no way that you could right. There's no way that you can put it any other way. They're just magic. They're smooth. They got no power, like 7 freaking horsepower, right? But they're happy things. Uh, Mike McNally, hey Uncle Tony, will a small block 2 barrel carb fit a big block 2 barrel manifold? I assume you're talking about Chrysler, and no, two completely different footprints. Hemihead 68 must sign off. Have a great week, Tony. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you. And next Sunday night will be, or is it next Sunday? I'm not sure. I got to tell Steve Maggs will be here. We're going to be doing a Thanksgiving thing. So next weekend, I'll let you guys know what night it is. It's probably going to be Sunday night. I'm not sure. Whatever night works for him, but we're going to be doing Thanksgiving live. Mopar Man 1978, that would be cool. A slant six power trike. I have thought about that. I'll tell you how far I went into thinking about that. Before I moved into this place, when I had the last one, that smaller shop in the storage units, I had taken a 7 1/4. I took a yoke. I bolted a U-bolt to it, took a yoke, plugged a slant six and a 904 into it, and sat there and tried to visualize and configure how I would build a trike out of this, right? So a slant six trike is not only something I thought about, it's something I actually like mocked kind of together to see if I could make it work. And it was too ungainly. I couldn't really, like, that was the impression that I had with it, right? You know, I put the motor at all different heights and stuff like that. It just doesn't, like, it didn't, I couldn't make it look cool, right? It would be too unwieldy, right? On paper, it sounds like a good idea, but when you actually take the motor, trans, and rear and plug them all together and then try to figure out where you're going to sit, where the handlebar is going to be, what kind of, and it just becomes like, no, this is going to be like one of those one of the monstrosity type of things, and I don't want that. If I'm going to build a trike, I want it to be a cool looking trike. Curtis, you love the idea though. You're thinking about the Slant Six, the trike. I mean, I'm probably not going to. Bruce W, can you think about some sort of mobile camera? We have we picked up a GoPro. We really haven't used it yet though. You could take us for a walk around the workshop from time to time to show us stuff during Sunday lives and answer some questions. Yes, that's a very good possibility. We might do that next weekend. Mopar Den says, Google Gene West. He built a Slant Six trike. Okay. I'm going to do that because I want to see, now that I'm talking about it. What's his name now? Gene West. Okay. Guys, bear with me for 1 second because I have to see this. Gene West. Slant Six trike. Let's see what comes up. All right. Oh, okay. Let's see it. Yeah. Okay. Precisely. That's exactly. That's why I didn't want to do it. That's why I didn't want to do it because it ends up looking like that. And yeah, I really don't want that. Not that I mean he built a nice vehicle for himself, but I couldn't look at it's just like aesthetics are important to me, you know. Um yeah, no. You could hang the motor off the back and make it do wheelies. More part than it is fugly. Yes, I know, and I couldn't live with that. Yeah, like to me, if you're gonna build a custom thing like a trike or a chopper or something like that, it has to be aesthetically not that you should build it for aesthetics, but it should be aesthetically pleasing or balanced, right? The Japanese have a word for that. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. But if I build something, right, and it's ugly, it's aesthetically at odds. I just can't, right. It has to be the kind of thing where I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to work on you. Oh yeah, I want to ride you. You know, it can't be ungainly or fugly. I just you know it, 672E Galaxy UT do a Christmas special with Steve, like the Andy Williams and Dean Martin ones from back in the day. That could be fun. Well, I mean, like we agree. We want to get together like once a month. So we did it for Halloween. We'll do it for Thanksgiving. We'll probably do something on the holidays. Um, Good night, LB Bruins. Uh, Kyle Teal. If you are a believer that one carb is best and you need to double the cubic inches, who makes a 2200 CFM carb for the mountain motors out there? Nobody. Nobody makes a 2200 CFM. Um, Pentastar, it has to flow. Yes, it has to flow. Michael, hey Tony, Oklahoma welding, the whole state? What's going on, Oklahoma? Rob's Classic just ran across someone that made a cross frame 26. I've seen that. I've seen that. He's got one carburetor. He's got three intake tubes going to one carburetor, and there's three intake tubes that come like this and go over the valve cover. And he's got a carburetor on the other side. I don't know if there's any value to that. Um, Austin says just run an open intake manifold with a hose dumping fuel over the carb opening. Austin, if you look at your idea isn't too far from if you go back and you look at 1950s top fuel cars before they went with mechanical fuel injection, like at the time it was Hillborn and then later Enderley, right? Before they went with mechanical fuel injection, what they used to do is they used to put Stromberg carburetors. This is like Garlitz's Swamp Route One has this setup. But all of the cars of that era, 1956, 1957, had this basic setup. So what they did was they ran Stromberg carburetors. They would put six or eight of them on top of the motor, okay, and they would take the jets out. They would take the jets completely out of this thing, out of these things. So what they would do, and what they would do, they had, if you look at these cars, they have a piece of tin. So here's the blower, okay, and here's the carburetors, and there's a piece of tin that goes like this over the top of the carbs. So what they would do is they would stage the car, right, just on what was pouring through the jets, okay. They would pump up. They had a mechanical pump, like a bicycle pump, right? They would pump up the fuel pressure, Okay. And when they slam the throttle, it would flood over the top of the carburetors through the vent tubes. If you're familiar with a Stromberg carburetor, it's got a vent tube sitting right over the top. It would shoot the fuel up over the vent tube, and the motor would drink it like that. And that piece of tin that was there was to keep the fuel from getting blown away from the top of the carburetors. They literally ran those things by flooding the nitro over the top of the carburetors. So I mean, trivia, weird trivia, right? But that's where that comes. You ever see one of them old dragsters and it's got this curved piece of tin over the top of the carburetors? That's what that's there for. BS Customs, would you rather live in the hot rod boom after World War II or the pre-muscle car era of American graffiti? No, this era is awesome. This this era, today's world has a lot of bad shit in it, right? But from a hot rodder standpoint, no, I would rather live in this era that we're in right now because there's just so much out there. You know, remember something, okay? I work on the cars and the bikes and whatnot that I work on their mind, but that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in everything else that goes on. And I pay attention to things, and I see stuff that's just absolutely mind blowing going on out there. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have the ability right now to pursue stuff like that. But I watch it. Today really is the golden age of hot rodding. You know, it's not that there were lots of good things in the past. There's no question about it. The 70s were a lot of fun. I was there. The 80s were a lot of fun. I was there. But there's more stuff today. There are more opportunities today, and there's more things. There's more ways to go fast on a hot rod today than there ever was at any other period of history. So I would say today is really the golden age of the gearhead. Let's see. Doug Rutley, Nivak 57 on YouTube blows my mind with the power they are making on their builds, all LS based. Yes, of course, Mike Batista. Of course, technology is better today. You've got 75 years of hot rod evolution. You know what I mean? It all comes to today, right? Uh, Frank Katsunis, I heard you can't run nitrous shot in with methanol, but you can mix raw nitro with methanol. How come? Because nitrous and nitro are two different things. I do not know the relationship between alcohol and nitrous oxide. Um, so I couldn't speak on that. Somebody who's familiar with that probably knows. Kyle Teal, if it's the golden age, why is it so hard to get started in it now? Kyle, how is it hard to get started in it? You know, I mean, what do you want to get started in? I mean, is it that you're trying to find an original like 60s or 70s muscle car and get started with that? Yeah, it's pretty hard, man. You're in line behind collectors and people with some serious loot. Yeah, but I mean, literally, man, go to Craigslist, go on Craigslist, buy something for $300 with a blown head gasket, throw a turbocharger on it, throw a nitrous oxide system on it. Right? It's so easy to get started. It's maybe you can't get started with the dream vehicle that you have, but you can start working towards it and building your foundation of knowledge. You know, go pick up a $300 Craigslist special and spray it, man. There's so many opportunities that we didn't have back in the day that are available today. Man, just it's too easy to get started. You know, back in the day, right? Let's just say, you know, typical like small block Chevy. Okay, back in the day, you go and you buy a 327 or a 350 out of the junkyard, right? And you're going to build it up. Man, you had to really spend some serious loot to A, make horsepower, and B, have something that would make horsepower and live. Today, for inflation adjusted, the same money, you go to a boneyard, you buy a friggin' LS. All of the good stuff is already in there. It'll take more abuse than you could possibly throw at it on a budget. You know what I'm saying? No, it's much easier to get started today than it was back then. Let's see. Ryan Davis, there are still $300 or $400 cars out there. I have one in my garage. Yeah, and if you want to do something from the classic era, right? So, okay, man, you got to build a 4-door. What can I tell you? You know, you can still find 4-doors out there for cheap. You can still find a lot of cars that just like the in people don't find desirable, man. So there's like there's full size cars, there's 4-door intermediates, there's AMC Ramblers and like stuff that people just that then you can get these things for a song. They're out there. So, guys, we're coming up. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark. I've been talking for 2 hours straight. This is. I've definitely out. I've used my talking quotient for the night. So I'm going to start winding this thing down and get out of here. So, as usual, our stupendous mods, John, Ari, Zero, Fubar. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Everybody who contributed with Super Chat tonight, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It keeps the wheels turning. All the stuff costs money, so we got to keep going, right? Thank you so much. Everybody who contributed with just conversation and your presence. I appreciate you equally. Thank you. And that's it, right? Sunday night, I believe Dallas will be back for Wednesday night. Dallas will probably be back for our Wednesday Night Live. So, guys, 7:00, come, be there. This next weekend is Thanksgiving. Next Sunday. So sometime this coming weekend, we'll have like Steve Manianti be back on. We're doing Thanksgiving night show. I don't know if it's going to be actually on Thanksgiving night or Friday. I'm not sure exactly, but we'll be doing a show with him this coming weekend. And that's it. We got, stuff going on. And I'm going to go home and crash. So that's it, guys. Thank you all for joining us. And I see you tomorrow.